Hello everyone, The Beast is here. I wanted to review this animated YouTube series ever since its season 1 has ended. Now sorry if it isn't up to standards. I'm not used to being a reviewer. What YouTube series I'm talking about is My Pride. My Pride is a 10 episode season in which we follow by the main character by the name of Nothing and her struggles in the societies in My Pride. The topics that My Pride includes are abuse, disabilities, LGBTQ, murder, mythology, disorders, women empowerment, and much more. Now, if that sounds cool, makes you hype, or if you like to still hear more on my opinions / me explain the series, then still stay around, but don't get your hopes up at the moment. This series has a few major flaws that you must prepare for / know when watching it. Just so you know, I don't know much about the drama in My Pride, nor the fandom. All I really know is that it's loved by many fans who are fans of The Lion King, and there's a lot of similarities between those fandoms. I watched a video that gives in more detail about the series and points in it. It's a video by the detective on YouTube. Link will be in the description of the video. Because her video, I wouldn't say it's well written, but it helps me look into this series with the good and bad. Minor spoiler warning, as I would talk about the stuff in detail I needed to say, so if you don't want any spoilers, then skip to the numbers showing right now. You have been warned. Remember the YouTuber I talked about earlier? Yeah, I actually wanted to share my opinion on her video points to My Pride, so think of this as some sort of response section while I also talking about My Pride and spoilers. Even though I thank her for making that video, some of her points are actually flawed. First, I'll talk out the things that I agree with her. These are major problems. The season felt rushed with just 10 episodes, and what they're trying to cover is not enough. They should have just focused on the relation of the pride in it. We'll get to that later, because it feels weird on how rushed it is to get from point A to point B. They should have just kept season 1 short, as just the part where Nothing and Feather had to go on their own is the end to episode 10. If you guys look up at the trailer, there was many changes, and I'm pretty sure there was supposed to be more in this first season. That's kind of an improvement. The season's LGBTQ representation is kind of vague. Hover and Nothing do not get enough screen time together to truly see and understand on how their decisions, like how Hover basically did nothing to defend her lover. Sorry, that was an accident. He didn't even try to be there to help her because she missed her ceremony. You can make it understandable, but the whole point of her joining the Pride was to be with her. It's infuriating on how much of an butt she is. If you're not familiar with the behind the scenes of the My Pride production, but they hammered in the advertisement as LGBTQ. Not only that, there is a transgender lion confirmed outside the series. No mention of it is in the animated series itself. The silver lion, I know that's why there's no cubs in our Pride, but it just kind of makes no biological sense to me. It just makes no sense biologically to me in a My Pride sense. This series mixes biological facts with mythology. It's not supposed to be accurate, but even so, they should have just explained at least a little bit of that she is trans, since she was dating Barkmane, and when Fire killed Barkmane, she's supposed to be the new main in the group. Also, that Fire wanted to have cubs there too.
I'll be a good main and give these lionesses and our cubs a safe and happy life.
If you're trans, you can't make cubs. So I think they should really just mention that since that's pretty important. I'm just saying this is baiting and pandering, kind of. If they just said that Moonstrike is female, then okay. Just because you advertise it as LGBTQ coming of age story, I'm not saying that there isn't male to female trans in the entire world. No. I'm just saying they should have had a reason, since we know that Pride Law is homophobic.
Pride Law forbids relationships between lionesses. Huntresses belong to their mane.
By the way, I know the voice actor herself is trans, so I like to give her props. She does Moonstrike very well. I wouldn't have noticed it was voiced by a trans person. This point is what I agree with her the most. The series has many characters who are just mean-spirited or unlikable. It's okay to have a set of reality and it being deep, but this is just too much and not fun, because when it is mean-spirited, that is mainly towards the main character called Nothing. Many of these lions are wicked mean to her.
Perhaps you should name her Slug Run. For a lioness protected by the goddesses, they have not blessed her with many skills.
That's because Slug Run's always been cursed.
And the ones that aren't mean to her don't say anything into defending her. Nobody speaks up, even for those who care about her deeply.
I want that this lioness shall henceforth be known as Nothing. All in agreement, lend me your voices. We are agreed then.
Whenever the character is at least neutral or allied, they're only comforting her when Nothing is alone, and it feels like nobody has the balls to speak up for her. The white lion doesn't count, since he basically comfort Nothing in a I don't know you, but I know you are good type of way. No physical affection, very neutral on how he helps Nothing, just letting you know I like the white lion. His name's Ghost, he's a bean. The only character that actually genuinely speaks up is the character who actually helps me go through this series while watching the show, because it just helps that, hey, there's a person that actually is brave enough to speak up. His name is Feather, and I'll talk about him later. By the way, what I mean by mean-spirited, that is mainly towards Nothing. When it isn't Nothing, they're mainly okay. But Nothing is the main character and disabled, so of course that's just me. I don't really like mean-spiritedness in a show particularly. And there's finally some positives that I agree with her. Because I'm just letting you know the positives are mainly not from her, but it's just positives for me. Alright, the voice acting is really top notch.
In my pride, all the ancient laws are enforced.
Leniency, please!
If you vow never to speak of your infraction again, and pledge your life to your pride and your mane, I will forget about this. That is my only offer.
I'd rather pledge my life to a warthog's rear end than the likes of you.
Nobody's mics was a potato, and they did their voice acting really well. Okay, we are now getting to points or parts that I agree with Detective, but at the same time I don't agree with it. She says that the visuals are amazing, but there is some errors on the drawing, and I saw a comment in her videos, it's not her comment but it's someone else's, saying that the style looks off. I mostly agree with her, but I'm saying this I'm saying that this was made online on YouTube. I can forgive it since it looks beautiful.
Open your eyes.
How did you do that?
This way. Come on.
And they're on a monthly time frame, but yes, everything to me looks good. It may look lazy since their mouths don't move, but again, this was made on YouTube. You gotta make budget cuts, and that comment, I disagree. I like the style. It reminds me of The Lion King, but more interesting with colors and settings, but not as polished. I also have to talk about Pride Law. I kind of agree with her that Pride Law was confusing. I think it's more towards complicated. It was quite odd that my pride is homophobic out of nowhere when it needed it, because again, it's LGBTQ bait. I think if you think way too much about Pride Law, it's gonna be confusing, but if you just not think about it too much, it's fine. I mean, of course, Pride Law is corrupt because, you know, lore, so either way, prides can have different rules they enforce, like how it is in the USA. Yeah, you can also argue it was rushed, but other than that, I see no issues with it, since Pride Law is supposed to represent as a horrible way of living. I would like to mention that even though I agree with Detective Calico, on the part where a lot of the characters are mean-spirited, I wouldn't say it would be 90%. I think it would be like 50%. Of course, that still sounds like a lot, but My Pride is a very harsh story, and the reason characters are the way they are is due to that harsh environment. It at least proves its point that Pride Law is really bad. And I know I said that it's very LGBTQ bait, but I don't find Hover to be a bad character. Poorly written, yes, but that is due to not having enough screen time with her. That is probably the main reason why. I'm going to talk about the main character. Nothing can be an idiot at times. I can't lie on that.
Fire.
Don't look suspicious. Quickmane will have my hide if he catches me.
What are you doing here?
It was the only way to talk to you. Meet me at the watering hole.
I can't. I have to watch the cubs. Fire. Did you hear me? Don't move. I'll be back.
She has made some stupid decisions even from her past life. Though Detective Calco stated that Nothing is a terrible role model, which I heavily disagree.
Nothing continues to bitch and feel sorry for herself because, yeah, she's had her little moment of finally standing up for herself since she was injured. So we have to go right back to reminding the audience, once again, that this is a disabled character who has to be sad and depressed. God forbid she has a full episode of being empowered and strong in this show.
She says that Nothing is too depressed, when honestly, what would you expect? Almost everyone is terrible to her. Honestly, I would agree with her being a terrible role model if it wasn't for that one scene.
I've always looked out for you, haven't I, sister? Ever since Dad died.
You have.
I've helped you your whole life, and now I need you to help me.
Feather, run now!
Get over here, Feather!
Feather! He saved your life today! Fire, how could you do this?
When Fire killed Feather, Nothing felt betrayed. She trusted her brother to do the right thing, and Fire promised her and Feather that he will make sure that nobody gets hurt except the main of the Pride, since you know Fire is still no main.
I've had my eye on this Pride for a while, and I think it would be perfect for me. There's loads of prey, beautiful lionesses, and best of all, no cubs, so nobody has to get hurt.
Other than the Pride's mane.
The mane of this Pride is old and slow. He had his time as mane, and now it's mine. Sister, Feather, would you mind coming along to help? You'll have a place in the Pride as long as I'm main, of course.
Not only that, Nothing also felt guilty because she felt it was her fault that Feather died, and in which it's her fault. But she didn't know that Fire would do such a terrible thing since they used to know each other. This was when Nothing decided to fight Fire.
Challenging you for your pride, Fire! Fight me!
I'm serious! Sister, quit it!
My name is Nothing!
I told you to back down when you had the chance. Don't look at me like that. You can still join my pride.
I'm alive because I kept myself alive. My place is here, challenging you. If you don't like it, kill me.
She knew she wouldn't win, but she fought anyways with Feather and her mistakes. She even willing to be killed, but not because of giving up. She wanted to fight until the very end, showing that no matter what Fire says, she felt the duty to fight to the death. Of course, Feather is still alive, but it's the emotion that was brought into it. When people meant that they don't like fake deaths, they really mean they don't like it when the supposed character dies, to just show up forced drama and emotion. This wasn't forced. It had an effect. There were even consequences on Feather faking his death, even though I honestly wish that Feather wouldn't be left alone by the end of the series, but Nothing needed that. Fire's actions is what broke her and made her don't mind realizing how bad by law and realizes her duty. And don't get me started on Detective's opinion of this situation, because she criticized that Nothing is a bad role model, and one of those reasons was because she still stays sad, and that Nothing being suicidal after that situation, saying that she didn't change. I honestly don't remember, but it's basically that, which I will say, bruh, are you kidding me? She did change. Yes, her development of changing was slow, but she changed and she knew she screwed up. I'm kind of annoyed of her saying that. How could she be a good role model if she continues to stay being sad? Bruh, she felt like she lost everything. She was simply venting to Ghost because of what happened. If you think that she's all of a sudden makes everything rainbows and sunshine, then that's stupid. Imagine having your friend get killed because of your stupid decision. She wanted to die, but in a way of fighting until the end. That's why she'd rather die with Feather than go with a random lion. That is why she fought Fire, knowing there is little chance of her winning. But it is actually infuriating, because I'm actually disabled myself, mentally disabled. And you're basically saying because she is suicidal at the end, that makes her a terrible example. It's offensive.
Why do you not move?
I was serious when I asked Fire to kill me. Everything feels too broken to fix. I know Kansu wants my help, but I'm so tired. None of this even matters anyway, right? If I give up, Azrael will just bring me back and we'll start again.
You matter?
I know, because I'm Kyoga, and I'm supposed to—
No, you matter.
You don't even know me.
You were called Nothing. You love one called Feather and one called Hover. When you fall, you know how to stand up. You have been wounded by the cruelty of this world, but you have not let it make you cruel. You know what is right, and you will fight for it. You are good. You matter.
How do you know that?
You wish to heal your world. So does Ghost.
Nothing was just venting to Ghost. Yeah, if Nothing told Ghost, please end my life, then yeah, that would be a terrible example, but she was just simply venting. This is development because there are people out there that are so depressed and just keep things to themselves, and which is very unhealthy.
Anyway, right?
You matter.
I know, because I'm Kyoga, and I'm supposed to—
No, you matter.
No, she had it right, Ghost. She only matters because she's the one who has to break the cycle. That's literally all her agency right there, is because she's Kyoga, her able-bodied past self.
You have been wounded by the cruelty of this world, but you have not let it make you cruel.
Yeah, all she did was let it make her a self-deprecating mess with no hope of character development.
Oh, I want to smack her. Next, I want to talk about the antagonist of the story. For example, Light went insane due to the fact that Kyoga ditched Light without a word to be with Kurabi.
Light started a war between the Sun and the Storm Kingdoms, accusing Kurabi of kidnapping his bride and demanding retribution. It resulted in carnage on a scale never seen before or since. Soon enough, desperate to end the violence, Kyoga and Kurabi agreed to meet Light at the highest point in the valley.
I came alone just like you asked. Now give her back, and all of this can be over.
Stay back. We came here to talk. That's all.
Please, stop this, Light. I can't give you what you want.
That's not true. You loved me.
I loved you dearly as my friend, but nothing more.
You abandoned me? Without a word?
I did what I had to do to be happy.
Yes, it is potential that Light was abusive the entire time, but for all we know, he was a chill guy. Yes, she relates this as to coming out of the closet, but again, we do not know what would happen. Again, it may be bad writing, but think of this in a different perspective. This is why I find the beauty in my pride. You can interpret everyone's decisions in different ways. This is why, as far as I know, everyone has mixed feelings about my pride. Some of them say it's amazing, some of them say it's bad. It's a lot of different opinions are mixed. Calico just interpret that Light was abusive the entire time, but to me, I still think everyone is in the wrong, even if they need to or not. Mostly everyone relatively has the same personality, except Firebird. That's it. You can honestly view these characters as unredeemable. Again, we only had 10 episodes, and that is due to the first pitch of My Pride Season 1 to have 10 episodes, and which was funded. I only have one huge problem with one of her opinions. I would be fine with her opinions, except this one kind of offended me on a personal level. Sorry if this ends up being unprofessional on my part. Here it goes. I believe Feather to be the best emotional support in this series. I can understand if she thinks Feather is just annoying, but she seems to bash Feather whenever she can. I'm going to be honest. Calico has been sarcastic and nitpicky the entire time in her video. It's actually really annoying, especially when talking about Feather, because I don't know, maybe she got offended. Also, nowhere in this season said that he was the only victim. Like, Jesus, Feather was specifically saying that everyone is a victim of Pride law, and that he wants to change it, not just for himself, but to nothing and everyone else. I feel like she's just pulling stuff out of her butt. Let me take a break to first say something else.
Point out some things. One, this screenshot led me on. It makes me think a fight is gonna happen, but a mild argument happened.
Oh wow. You wish there was a fight scene in that episode, judging by the thumbnail? Well, it didn't lie. Arguing is a sort of way of fighting. Like, all I see in the thumbnail is an argument and yelling just because you wish something based off of the thumbnail doesn't mean it's false advertisement. That is your fault for getting your hopes up, even though you didn't even like the My Pride series in the first place. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. I'm going to debunk every rude thing she says about Feather.
And as nothing threatens to kill Feather. This girl is hangry. Let her at least have the neck, Feather, you absolute pig. There's no way you're gonna eat that entire bird.
He's not being a pig, he just didn't know any better, because no matter how hungry you are, it still goes into your mind. Your first thoughts can be unintentionally selfish. Nothing said to him that he can have it, and Feather was very hesitant.
I'm sorry. Here, you take it. Are you sure? You need it more than I do.
Feather is still a cub. He probably thought it would make nothing feel bad if he shared it like the neck or something, even though sharing is a good thing. It does go against what Nothing was doing. And Nothing giving Feather the food because she believes he needs it more. I hope that makes more sense. That probably sounds bad, but Feather hasn't matured enough to have the strength of going against someone's word. I mean, it's whatever. It's the least of what she says is annoying.
Process. After that, Feather asks if his father is in lion heaven. No, Feather, your dad is garbage.
He's dead, isn't he? My sisters too, right?
Oh, now you want me to feel bad about the sisters? Like, they're used for comic relief. One of them has dumb eyes, they were killed off screen, and now you want me to feel bad? Like, how did that even go down anyway?
No matter if the character Feather's father was, or how little screen time we get of his sisters, the whole point of the scene is to feel bad about Feather. We saw how they treat Nothing, but this isn't Nothing's perspective. This is Feather's.
And Sharp Tongue's up there?
If Azra heard our call, she is.
And my dad?
Your dad?
He's dead, isn't he? My sisters too, right?
Feather...
I'm not stupid, Nothing. That's the only reason you took me away from home. And no man killed him. And he wanted to kill me too, didn't he?
We can feel his sadness. You can still feel bad on what happened, even if you don't know or like much of the other characters. What matters is what the actual character who is feeling these feelings feel. We know Feather enough, and we know what happened.
Rain takes her leave, and Nothing tells Feather he needs to learn how to hunt. Feather is into this whole woman thing, and Nothing tells him she loves him. Doesn't feel earned or called for. Feels more like an obligation.
Yes, it's earned for. When Feather first said, "I love you" to Nothing.
Nothing? I love you.
Nothing didn't say anything, and that is due to the fact of how she experienced love before, because, well, half of the characters are mean to her. When Rain came by, she tested Nothing and asked her to leave Feather to go with Rain. Rain made valid points about the reasoning of doing that. With Nothing figured it over, she denies Rain. But it has taught Nothing what she should do. First, ask Feather to help hunt. Feather gladly agrees and says, "I love you" to Nothing.
Hunting is a lioness's job.
I know that's how it is in the Pride, but we're on our own now. I can't do this alone. I need your help. Can I count on you?
Of course you can count on me. Those zebras will taste my fury! Rawr!
Hey, Feather?
Yeah?
I love you. You know that?
I love you too, Nothing.
Now, Nothing being comfortable, she says, "I love you too." You see, it's hard to say "I love you" to someone who was abused or had bad experiences with people. It's really meaningful when that person who has gone through so much to finally say, I love you to you. The whole episode was entirely character and world building development.
Keep calling her sister. Her name is Nothing.
Fuck you too, Feather. You were there when Nothing got her ableist name. You know the connotations behind it just as well as everyone else here. Why didn't you have this attitude with Power Strike? Why didn't anyone, for that matter? Oh, I guess he did. Right there.
1. He was a very young cub. 2. Jesus, why do you need to sell him when you know he's going to explain his reasoning later? You're going to cover this anyway, you know.
I don't like that he wants to get rid of your name.
How come?
Because Nothing doesn't mean what your mom wanted it to mean anymore. She tried to make it mean worthless. But Nothing doesn't mean worthless now. It means brave and kind and strong. It's what you're afraid of. Nothing. You made it mean who you are. That's special.
I'm gonna kick this fucker into the sun. This is the show's very bad attempt at making Feather seem woke, but one little problem. He comes from a place of privilege. He's a male in a patriarchal society with parents who loved and favored him. And for—
No, stop. Don't say that because Feather lived a better life in your eyes. That he wouldn't understand nothing. You are also forgetting a point. You do realize he said, I don't like that he wants to change your name.
I don't like that he wants to get rid of your name.
He is just speaking his mind. And he is right by saying that.
That's special. It's not his to change.
Feather.
I'm just saying, if Fire doesn't know that, I don't think he knows you anymore. And you might not know him so well either.
It is Nothing's choice to change her name. And Feather knows her enough that he can't simply change her mind. Feather is just speaking out his reasonings as to why he feels that way.
Besides, Nothing seemed perfectly happy with the idea of getting a new name. 2 characters fighting over another character's agency isn't progressive. The correct thing to do in this situation would be to have Nothing tell them to stop fighting over her own agency, but she doesn't even think—
Oh, wait. Now you say that an argument is a fight? What happened to the part where you basically said you were disappointed that there wasn't a fight in episode 7?
Up the argument that Nothing can own her name like somebody with a disability can own a slur. First off, ew. Secondly, last time I checked, slurs aimed at those with disabilities are very much rooted in the physical and emotional abuse of said individuals, whether they had physical or mental disabilities. They existed to dehumanize them and invalidate their conditions down to the belief that it rendered them stupid or slow or useless. You can't cry empowerment and then reclaim an ableist slur, or in Nothing's case an ableist name, when its very purpose was to rob you of your humanity.
Oh my god, you're looking too deep over this. Feather literally just says his reasonings on how he feels about him wanting to change her name. He isn't trying to say that Nothing should man out on the negativities of her name. Nothing means something special, and he's right. You can make your name to be a negative or positive thing by the actions of that specific name. For example, there has been horrible people in time in which made things to mean terribly due to their history, like how Hitler made the symbol of peace be a swastika. Have us Americans interpret anything that looks similar to the swastika as bad because of Hitler. And then there's Jesus, who was killed on a cross, and letting you know the cross was an execution method on a lot of people. And a cross we use nowadays is a very good defining item in religion. Before, the cross was basically an execution method. It meant death, but later on, it's now a symbol of Jesus' sacrifice for all the Christians out there. So you get the point. And I actually understand Feather's perspective. You see, I am transgender, female to male. You guys know me as Marcus, but my actual name is Margaret. That sounds weird to point out at first, but you see, if you call me by my dead name, despite me preferring male pronouns and having me be called Marcus, doesn't that technically make it an ableist name to me? I want to explain that even if you change your name, the original birth name will always be remembered. You just can't forget a name. A name is a part of you the moment you are first born with one. You may be wondering, why would you change it in the first place? Well, again, I'm a trans male. Margaret is a feminine name, and I grew up with that name attached to me since, well, I was born female. I felt I had to change it so I can be me, but even if that name makes me feel bad, I still put it into my mind on my new name. Marcus is meant for me to be the closest name to Margaret, but with a new look and masculinity. Alright, now I'm sorry I'm gonna sound weird. That might be offensive. When you get into a psychic setting, yeah, you heard me right, they ask for your first and last name. What they mean is your birth name, because they will say they do not feel the same energy of your changed name. What I mean by that is they either feel a feminine energy or a masculine energy, because your original name is what determines your life. Okay, that may sound offensive, but they're just being honest. It's not being transphobic. I bet you they don't want to make you feel bad by doing that. It's just because they want to be honest, because if you don't say your birth name, you're not going to have an accurate reading. And psychics work in mysterious ways to feel the energy to that specific person. I'll link to the article that explains that stuff, since me myself haven't seen a psychic in a long while. And also my name hasn't changed yet, legally. So I'll be linking that article down in the description. This might go a bit off script, but I would like to say that I'm making this video in March. So if I have a psychic reading during the time it's not uploaded to the public, I'll write that in the description.
You keep calling her sister. Her name is nothing.
Not for long. When I'm a main, we'll get my sister a good proper huntress name.
What I also want to say is, while Fire wanted the pride that he is going to try to claim to change her name, you do realize that even if that were to have happened, what makes you think that Nothing is going to have a better name change? They don't even know her, and they didn't even like Fire to begin with, even though he killed the man of the pride. Actually, when Fire basically, before he was actually doing his plan, he literally said with confidence that I'm gonna change your name, even though he hasn't even won the pride yet at all.
To cap it all off, Nothing never even says she has a problem with the name, at least not since episode 2. Feather just has this tantrum because Fire calls her sister, which is a perfectly fair description because she is his sister.
I can see where you're coming from, but again, look into his perspective. He is annoyed that Fire isn't acknowledging on what happened. I know Fire always calls Nothing sister, but why doesn't Fire ask Nothing if she is okay being called Nothing after a long time of separation? You know things can change when you haven't seen someone in months. Like how I changed my name. Nothing didn't say anything because she is used to it. Feather was the only one who actually stands up to her, and you didn't even acknowledge the parts when Feather tried to comfort Nothing.
You saved Fire's life.
I didn't do it for him.
Sister! What is wrong with you? He could have killed me. You said you'd be there to help.
I'm sorry. I froze.
Sometimes you just don't have the confidence to say it in order to not have an argument / trying to fight.
Sister, God forbid things work out and Fire actually gives her a decent pride name when all this is over, which I'm sure a lot of the audience was rooting for before the cute little able-bodied lion cub said so, but whatever.
So you have to be a bee for 5 minutes as to why Feather feels that Fire wanted for pride he hasn't claimed yet to change your name, yet you're being hypocritical and saying, why is nothing going back to accepting pride law? When all of this just happened, blah blah blah. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just pointing out you're doing the same exact thing with the naming issue. I'm done here. My conclusion is that even though I am glad you made that video, but I really don't like your attitude in it. First, you don't even need to have your video be 3 hours long. Second, you're repeating yourself by explaining that while watching the 10 episodes. You could have just skipped to your conclusions, and that would make your video an hour and a half. Third, you clearly weren't ready to have an analysis if you're letting your emotions get to you the entire time, nor acknowledging the good perks, except that one time that you placed the animation and voice acting. Okay, so spoilers are now done. First, I will explain the good parts of my pride. The voice acting is really good. I think everyone did their job well in that category. Then again, I'm not an expert in that field, so at the moment all I see are good voice acting and bad voice acting. The animation, even though it looks a bit cheapened out, it looks beautiful and is amazing that this is an online series. That alone is worth looking into. I love how creative this series is. It's like an adult Lion Guard done right. And if you know that show, I feel bad for you. Unless you like just season 3. Season 3 is just okay. The lore, the pride law, mythology, the story, and the topics they go for are unique. Yes, I argue that it was very baity, but it's still surprisingly different, mainly because people are yet to focus on LGBTQ equality. Despite, in my opinion, that nothing sometimes makes really dumb decisions throughout the season. She is actually a good character that I like. I think as a role model, she actually does a good job. There was at least one scene that made me respect her, mainly because I personally relate to it. Of course, there is a chance that she is going to make you at least annoyed for the dumb decisions she makes. Just to me, I was only a little bit annoyed. I really like how deep the characters are in this. There isn't a character that I'm like, oh, this character is a stereotypical blah blah blah. They each have their own unique personality whenever you like them or not. I have to put a special place just for him. You will be able to see a character named Feather. He is the character that actually makes me want to see more of my pride, because without him, it would just be way too mean-spirited for me. Feather is a character that's respected and loved. It's probably a most likely chance you're not gonna like the mean-spiritedness if Feather didn't exist, or that you don't like it. We need a character like Feather. The antagonists are done well and believable. Well, except for maybe being a bit too dramatic ones, but that doesn't really matter. All the antagonists have a reason as to why they are antagonists. Maybe it was a bit sudden for one of them, but they made it believable, and I wouldn't have expected that one of them would even become an antagonist, since there are reasonings behind them. By the way they act, they each have a good reason. Okay, now here is the bad parts. I have a fair share of negatives with my pride. Most of the characters in my pride are unlikable. Let me see. The ones that are unlikable are done purposely to convey the, well, reality of living in a world like that. The main gripe I really have is the characters that are meant to be likable, because it is mainly the fact that whenever the main character gets treated like garbage, the allies don't say anything. They do not speak up for her. For whatever reason, only character that really stands up for her is Feather. Even the supposed love interest doesn't even stand up for her when nothing needed the most. I can't get the reason why the love interest did what she did, but it's just too much. Mention that I praise my pride for tackling very heavy topics, but I really don't like how they handle the LGBTQ part of it. Muffin and Hover do not get enough screen time together, as they should have, since they're the main ship that even the creators of my pride heavily advertised. I think everyone can agree they needed more screen time. Yes, Hover got what she deserved when she needed it, but her turnaround time just felt rushed. I am very neutral towards Hover, because on one hand, she cares about nothing, and she was one of the reasons to nothing being happy, and Hover was willing to risk everything for her that one time in that season. A really horrible thing to nothing, and thus was being mean to nothing in that certain point. Even with a reason, it was just too much, and it kind of annoyed me a lot. Also, the LGBTQ stuff, and it's kind of forced, like how there's a transgender male to female line, which it doesn't really make any sense to me, at least the part where they don't mention it. I really think that's kind of important to know. So, hey, I messaged to the voice actor, T. Andrews. Your voice fits really well as Moonstrike. I don't know if Moonstrike is supposed to be you. I just wish they had done the Moonstrike character a bit better on the transgender representation. The season was pitched to have 10 episodes, and they put in way too much things happening within the 10 episodes. I think they should have just have episode 1 to 5 and then have them stretch out into 10 episodes. I can get the reason why it's like that, because the pitch trailer promised way more things for it. I really believe if they had more episodes or had the season's focus cut a bit, then expanded to 10 episodes within that short focus, it wouldn't be as mixed as everyone are with My Pride. That is really all I have to say to let you guys know about this series and what to expect when getting into it. I give it a lot of praise for this series, but the cons I have for it are very flawed that will either factor in from liking the series. I can't say that everyone will like it because of that. Even so, no matter those cons, I still recommend everyone to watch the series. This season has 10 episodes, so it wouldn't take much of your time just watching it. Not necessarily in a way that you would 100% enjoy it, but to learn from it. This series can help the future of animation of YouTube. You can be inspired by it or improve on what they went wrong. Support My Pride by watching the series. I want this to be the future of people who are trying to make animated series. Heck, I'm trying to make an animated series right now, as you can see from my videos. I honestly hope My Pride will find another fundraiser that will fund season 2 of My Pride. I can't believe a small team was able to create something so productive with this. Anyways, that is all I have to say. Just watch it if what I said interests you, or watch it at least if you're working on a project like animation, comics, film, etc., so you can learn from it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.